What's up guys, and welcome to this new product video on the Wind Lounge YouTube channel. In this video I will briefly explain you our Wind Lounge trim system. I will explain you how this trim system works, for whom it is made, and also how you can put it on your boom. The trim system of course is available in our online shop. It's linked down in the video description. So yeah, feel free to check it out if you want to improve your tuning on the water. And this is exactly the point. What does a trim system allow you to do? It pretty much allows you to adjust your outhaul trim while you are on the water racing with your friends or in a competition. The whole thing also comes from competition because, of course, all these competing PWA riders, they sometimes need to adjust their trim on the race course because they don't have time to go back to the beach, and they also don't want to have the hassle. So they just grab the rope. This is also what you could be doing, and they release either the outhaul or they tighten the outhaul. And releasing and tightening the outhaul does a lot of change to your trim. So you have to imagine when you release the outhaul, then this outhaul pulley, in this case the Lisa pulley, which is by the way the best outhaul pulley, it moves further inwards, and this takes away tension from your sail, and therefore the belly of your sail enlarges. This gives you on the one side more power. It also stabilizes your pressure point, and this is very good, for example, if you're trying to go very fast on a downwind course in, for example, some chop, but also without chop. But at the same time, of course, it also takes something away, which is, for example, your ability to go very fast upwind or downwind. So let's just say you went on a speed course, downwind, full power, you released the outhaul to get all that extra power, because when you go downwind, you lose a little bit of power because you're going with the wind. And now you want to go back upwind, then you tighten your outhaul, and this means your sail gets more flat, and when your sail is more flat, you lose a little bit of power. You lose a little bit of pressure point stability in your sail, but you can go cross and upwind much more easily. And of course, if you're in a race, everything is with time pressure on. So there, this is absolutely mandatory. But also when you're free racing, this is super cool, because not only can you adjust your trim for the course you're going at, but also for the wind. Meaning, if you are in a lull and the wind is dropping, you can release the outhaul and you get a little bit more power. When you hit a gust, you can tighten it a little bit. Don't tighten it too much, because again, you lose some of that pressure point stability. You don't want that. Also not when you're overpowered. But you can play around with the trim without going back to the beach. And that is a huge, huge, huge advantage. So once you try the trim system, you will never want to go back. Now, for whom is this trim system? It's pretty much for everyone that feels like this is something that you want to have. Usually that's slalom racers, foilers of course, and free racers. For free riders, sometimes having this extra trim option is a bit too much, but even for advanced free riders it can be very, very cool, because for example at our lakes here we have super gusty winds. And one other benefit of course is that once you have a trim system like this and you're not a pro, you have a really easy way to play around with your trim, and playing around with your trim is usually what gives you the most extra performance out of everything. But most people, also myself of course, are too lazy to go back to the beach, change the trim, go back out again and do this a couple of times. So this really enables you to play with that trim and learn a lot about your equipment while you're out there on the water. Because when you never felt the difference of having a big belly in your sail or having your sail flat in one and the same conditions, you will never understand the huge performance differences that this might bring. Now, before we get to mounting the Wind Lounge Outhaul trim system, I want to quickly introduce you to the different ingredients that we are using, because we've put together these trim systems ourselves. We looked at what are the pros, the best windsurfers in the world are using, and it's pretty much exactly that. So let's start with the main component. It's this plastic clamp and this metal clamp cleat, which is holding the Dyneema rope in place. And we have this clamp in different sizes, so you have to measure or research the diameter of your boom, and then you can choose the clamp that fits your boom. So yeah, we have that for all different variants of booms that are out there in the market. They all have a range, and to use that range we deliver these elastic pads. On this boom randomly the clamp perfectly fitted, so I did not have to use a pad like this, but you can put it in here. It has some grip, and now you can pretty much make the diameter a bit smaller and use this clamp also on a little bit thinner boom. So you get 4 of these with every trim system, and these ones come in the diameter of your choice, and depending on the diameter you have these different collars, and this is how we get them from Clamp Cleat, so we didn't come up with this collar thing. Then it gets interesting. Before we get to this rope, let's start with this rope. This is Dyneema rope. A lot of other trim systems that you find on the market, they use cheap ropes, obviously to save money. But this is a performance gadget, and it's important to invest in a good Dyneema rope here. It's 3.8 millimeters, so it's also very thin, because back in these booms, and this is of course important to have when you want to mount a trim system, you have a lot of rolls, and these rolls all have to run very smoothly. And if they are not running smoothly because the rope is a cheap one, not a good one with a lot of friction, then you also need to use a lot more power when pulling here. And of course, using a lot of power when pulling here destabilizes you when you're out there sailing. And now when you're in a situation where you're overpowered and you want to release or tighten your outhaul, what you want is very little friction, so you basically can use 3 fingers and pull here to tighten your sail. Then of course you need a pulley to put the trim system together with your sail. In this case, since it's my personal boom, it's a Lisa pulley. Those are the best that you can get. You can also buy them in a bundle together with the trim system. Bundle is linked in the video description below. Alternatively, you can use a pulley from Unifiber. They are a little bit cheaper, but also do the job. And then symmetrically, of course, because you can do the trim on both sides, we get to the connection of the rope that you're pulling that is held by the clamp cleat. And this is this Allen pulley, and it has a little plastic roll in here which makes it super smooth. And now we come to the last rope. It's this rope, something we have now new with our trim system, because we observed in the PWA and in other competitions, the pros are often using the thinnest possible rope also here where you grab it. Of course, this also has the downside that if you're not secure with your sailing and pulling here, this can slip much more easily, but it has the advantage, of course, of super little friction. But so we also have an alternative, of course, for that. And this is the 5 millimeter Dyneema rope. It's still very smooth. It's the smoothest you can get for 5 millimeters. And you can also use this here. You can make that choice in our online shop when you buy the trim system. So yeah, if you want a little bit better grip for your hands and a few percentages more friction is okay for you, which is, by the way, really fine. Take the thicker rope, and if you want the least amount of friction, then take the thin rope. I personally prefer to use the thin rope, but it's really up to you guys. One thing that is very important is that especially when you use the thin rope and you are running the risk that it slips through your hand, is to have a little knot here. Of course, you also want that with the thick rope, because now if you're on the water, a big gust hits you, you are grabbing this at the wrong moment in time, the whole thing can open. Nothing bad happens if that happens, but it shouldn't happen. And then this stops your trim system from falling apart, because this, of course, can be very annoying. If you're in a competition, this is a game over pretty much, but it's also not particularly nice to swim around in your lake and mount the trim system. It's much better to mount your trim system on the beach, and I will now show you how that works. All right, guys, now about the mounting of the trim system. It's very simple, and we will now go through it all. I brought a fresh boom with me. I just recorded a German video, so here it's already almost done, but don't look at this. We will do it all from scratch on this side. So it's very simple. Of course, you need your fitting plastic clamp. If it's too wide, you use these pads right here to make the diameter a little bit smaller and adjust it for your boom. Of course, they can't be too narrow, okay? They have to sit tight so they don't move. They also have these small extra edges in here, so the whole thing is not moving anywhere. So you want to place the clamp, of course, as far back as possible, so you have a lot of room for your hands in the jibe, and you also can do a lay-down jibe where you have to go a little bit further to the back with your hand. But what you don't want to do is place the clamp on the carbon, of course, because the softishness of the grip of your boom, of course, allows it to get really tight and not move around. And now we want to place the clam cleat, of course, in the right position. It's this one, it's facing forward where you are sailing, because I can show you real quick. The rope is going to come in here, in this direction. So the sail is going to pull from here and it's self-tightening as you saw right now. And yeah, what we want to do now is use the screws that the whole boom comes with. And let's see if I can manage that. It's sometimes a little bit like you need a little bit of pressure here from your hands, because it's, of course, when it needs to be tight, it's not always that easy, but as you can see, it's tightening. And now, yeah, with a little bit of pressure, you can perfectly tighten this. Once the gap is closed in the middle, leave it at that so you don't break the plastic. But clam cleat is really producing amazing qualities with these clams and with the cleat. So yeah, that's really, really cool. That's the best of its kind. You can't get anything better. The next thing that you want to do is attach the rope that you're going to hold or work with when you're using the trim system. That's also very simple. You have a little hole here in the middle of the clamp. So you put that rope from the inside to the outside, and what you want to do is a little knot right here. Make sure that this knot is not opening. Of course, it's going to have some pressure, so you can be quite safe with it, but it can look somewhat like this. If you want, you can cut this off. We deliver these ropes pre-cut, by the way, but they all come with room to play. So whether you use a longer or shorter boom, you can always adjust, and it's always good to bring a knife and maybe even something to burn the edges off. So now this rope is attached, and the next thing is that you want to bring in your Allen roll right here, and it's again very simple. It's extremely smooth, even though this is the 5mm Dyneema. The roll is working perfectly. Of course, if it gets sandy, it becomes even more important that you have these expensive, good ropes on there. And now, very simple, you put that rope through your cleat, and now you can give it a first test. Is it working? Oh, don't twist it, especially the big ones. They should not be twisted. Exactly. Now, if we pull here, it's tight, nothing is moving. It's exactly how we want it, perfect. Now imagine you're sailing, boom, you tighten your sail, boom, you get a bigger belly, perfect. And then, of course, don't forget the knot right here. Can also be a simple one, but now if we crash or something happens, the whole thing sticks together. But I definitely recommend to you guys to go sail with the trim system as it comes, and then see how much room to play you need with these ropes, and then shorten the ropes so they don't fly around all the time. This can be very annoying and distract you from the sailing, because this rope is, as you can see, quite long. We're now using the 3.8mm Dyneema rope. And it's really important, again, that you use the good quality rope here, because we have a lot of rolls and pulleys back here, and it has to run very smoothly. And every bit of friction, again, that you have too much in this system will force you to use a lot of pressure here. And this is really not what you want to have. So what you do is, right here, you just make a simple knot. I know you guys probably know better how to make a good knot. I'm no knot expert. I'm just using whatever works. This one is very ugly, I have to admit. Most important thing is that it doesn't open. And before you copy my knot that I'm making right here, you rather Google how to make a good knot. But for me personally, I have to say this always worked and never opened before. But don't trust me on that one. But it's just a simple knot. And then we come to at the back of the boom here. And as you can see here, we have it all set up perfectly. If you have a wave boom, it's a little bit tricky sometimes. And yes, you also can see we have here still the rope that the boom comes with. It's always a pity that these carbon booms don't come with good Dyneema. So I would always recommend you anyway to exchange this rope for better rope, even if you're not using a trim system. Also in the front, it's important because it's very annoying if it rips. Yeah, so we start off by going through the outside here, top and outside, then top, inside. And now, as you can see, it already looks like something. And what we now need is a pulley that we can connect the boom later on to the sail. This one here is very handy because, as you will see in a moment, when you have the trim system, you don't want to make any knots when you put together the sail and the boom. And this one here just allows you to open and close and adjust your boom just like this with the trim system on. So everything becomes much easier. You want to hold it like this. So here's the sail. That's our imaginary sail. Go through here. Boom. Go through there. Boom. Very thoughtful, these Lisa pulleys. Only can recommend them. And there you go. This is one side. And as you can see, you know, it's not rocket science. But a lot of people are asking us how to mount it. Then you go through the bottom here. Boom. Perfect. And now we are on the other side and we do it all the same, just the other way around. So we start here at the bottom. Side. The top. And pull it tight so we can check. And this is so satisfying. And now we are moving the rope through the top. Roll again. Oops. And what you can see right here is a perfectly mounted Lisa pulley. And now, just so you saw it once, if you now want to attach the boom to your sail, open, close, and you never have to touch your trim system ever again. And now, since it was already done on this side, we can just make a knot right here. As you can see right now, it's a little bit too much rope right here. So I'm just gonna, for sake of presentation, tighten this a little bit now. Make a quick knot, just so I can show you how it works. And now, as you can see, if I would be sailing in this direction, you know, I can release right here, or I can pull my sail more tight, and also the pulley here in the back is moving perfectly. And if I give it a good pull, you know, nothing is moving. So this is how you assemble and attach your trim system. You can do it in 5 minutes if you're fast. If you do it the first time, maybe sometimes it's a bit complicated. But in our Wind Lounge trim system, you get all the parts that are necessary to do this. And yeah, if you want to buy it, check out the Wind Lounge. The product, the Wind Lounge trim system, is linked in the video description. Again, you can buy it in a bundle with, for example, the Lisa pulley or also the Unifiber pulley. And if you enjoyed this video, if it helped you, you can leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I would say we see each other the next time. Bye-bye.